Hello, my name is Benny, and welcome to the Unnamed Sports Podcast. I could not come up with a name. I asked many people, and no one could give me a name, so it is unnamed until further notice. We will be talking about all types of sports: NFL, NHL, college basketball, baseball, really touch on everything, including maybe some WWE. It all depends where this podcast wants to go. But welcome, and I hope you enjoy your time. Was that bad? Was that good? Okay. Today, our rundown, basically all NFL. The playoffs, right around the corner. We're going to talk about playoff matchups. I'm going to do a quick pick for that. We're going to talk about MVP. We're going to talk about my Super Bowl pick. We're going to talk about coaches. And who else knows what we're going to talk about? But first, let's start with the NFL quick pick. So, first, we got games on Saturday, 2 games there, 3 games Sunday, and 1 on Monday night. So, quick rundown. Saturday games: Seahawks, Niners, Niners; Chargers, Jaguars, Jaguars; Dolphins, Bills, Bills; Giants, Vikings, Giants; Ravens, Bengals, Bengals; Cowboys, Bucks, Cowboys. So those are my picks for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games. I'll dive into it a little bit deeper, but for now we're just going to keep them quick, and we're going to move on to the next thing I want to go to, which is the Super Bowl pick. So based off of those picks right there, I'm going Niners, Bills, Super Bowl, and I'm taking the Buffalo Bills. I know it's not just because of their emotional roller coaster with DeMar and everything that's happened to them since that situation. It's really going to be that I picked them at the beginning of the year. And I'm not going back down unless my team makes the Super Bowl. But right now, Bills, Niners, I got the Bills. I think Josh Allen will come out to play. Stephon Diggs is going to get 100 yards, maybe a touchdown or two. I think they're the better team overall. I think the Niners haven't really been tested. I know they're down to Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, and I know that they've beaten everybody since then. He's undefeated as a starter, but I really think during the playoffs, the NFC isn't that tough unless some teams bring their A game and the Niners kind of slip up. But if I think you put the best Niners team on the field, the best Bills team on the field, and I got the Bills over the Niners. NFL MVP, that's pretty easy. I know it's a lot ups and downs. You have Jalen Hurts, um, Patrick Mahomes, you have Hill, you have all these people that could be MVP, but I'm going to give it to the most obvious, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I don't know how you don't put Patrick. I know he's like, oh, he does everything every game, and he's always like, oh, 400 yards and a bunch of rushing yards and always making these incredible plays. And why give it to him when someone else could easily just get it and not just keep repeating the cycle? But he's doing those things, and so he deserves the MVP. I know a lot of people want Jalen Hurts. I'm not dissing Jalen Hurts, but I think if you compare him and Patrick Mahomes, I think Patrick Mahomes over Jalen Hurts all day. So next, we're going to get into some things, but first, I'm going to say thank you, Jubs and Jazzy. But now we're going to get into some Benny picks. These are basically based off of betting. If you like the bet, if you don't like the bet, we're just here to have a good time. I have all the NFL games picked. Not all of them. I have my favorite over, under. I have my favorite underdog, and I have my favorite favorite. So first, we're gonna start with the underdog. Start with the underdogs here, right? I got the Seahawks at plus 9.5. I think it was 10.5 when it first came out, but they dropped it to 9.5. I still like 9.5. I don't see them winning, but I do see them covering the 9.5. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. I think a lot of people are writing off the Seahawks, and they're playing the 49ers. The 49ers are the best team. I have the Niners going to the Super Bowl, but in reality, the Seahawks are going to come out. Pete Carroll knows how to get that team up to play. Geno Smith just had the best season of his career, and I think they're going to keep it close up until the very end. I don't think they lose by 10 points. I think they keep it within 9. So if you like an underdog, Seahawks 9.5. My favorite, the Cowboys -2.5. I know they're going into Tampa. I know it's Tom Brady, but all the other games are very lopsided. It feels like a lot of them, other than the Jags and Chargers, are very large plus minuses. So in reality, if I'm picking the Cowboys to win, I think they're going to win by more than 3. So I'm going to take the Cowboys -2.5. I know not a lot of people like the Cowboys. I know a lot of people are picking them to lose. But if I had to, and I know this is based off of what I picked, Cowboys 2.5. Now, we're going to go with my favorite over. So over under is 48.5 points total for the Giants Vikings. I love that over. I think both teams are going to come out and just drive down the field. You might have a slow start, but I believe both teams by the end are going to find their ground. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, they're all going to get some points. Kirk Cousins is the only question. If you're looking at 48.5, is it going to be primetime Kirk Cousins, or is it going to be 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins, even though the game's not at 1 p.m., but it's not technically a primetime game either. It's really weird, but 48.5, I love the over. It's my favorite over out of all the games this weekend. The only one I would keep my eye on is maybe Bills Dolphins, but still with the Dolphins having a backup quarterback, I don't see that getting over, but it could just because the Bills might outscore them. But if you don't feel like the Bills are going to outscore them that badly, don't do that. The under, my favorite under, Chargers, Jags, mine or 47.5. Over under. I love this game. I think it's going to be nitty gritty. I think that Mike Williams was just announced he's not in the game, which takes a weapon away. I know they still have Katron Allen, and that Chargers offense is incredible, and the Jags offense can put some points up. But the only other game that's really over under, if you're looking for an under, is Cowboys Bucks, and the Cowboys could put up 30 and Tom Brady could put up 30, or they could keep it low scoring and it could finish in the 20s, like total points. This is a very tough under, but if you do like betting the under, which I know not a lot of people like, Chargers Jags 47.5. And now we're gonna go to I'm gonna break some games down quick. Um, Seahawks Niners I kind of already broke down a little bit just based upon the plus minus 9.5. And I picked obviously the Niners to win that game. But the Niners are going to come out. I think Brock Purdy doesn't feel a lot of pressure. I think he came in, everyone's Mr. Irrelevant, and everyone's like, whatever, he's not going to show up. And he kind of showed up, and he's been winning for the Niners. And then you have Geno Smith having the career day, and I mean career season, and I think he has a lot. He hears everything. The players hear everything about how they don't have a chance. This game's gonna be a blowout. No one has a single chance to give the Seahawks except me with the plus 9.5. Although they're not winning, I think the Niners, Christian McCaffrey, and all those weapons on offense with their receiving group and Brock Purdy playing well. Their defense is top in the league. If you ask anybody, they're limiting scores. I mean, the Seahawks have a good offense. It's not going to keep up with the Niners offense, and definitely I don't think going to stand up to that defense. very well. So that's why I took the Niners. Jags, Chargers. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to this. The Jaguars barely made the playoffs, but I think they're better than their record shows. I think Trevor Lawrence finally found his groove, kind of like back in Clemson, and he hasn't lost a game on a Saturday, by the way, in high school or college or the NFL. So I think the Jags can beat the Chargers. The Chargers are great. Do not get me wrong. I love the Chargers. This game is a flip a coin, and whoever you pick heads for is probably has a great chance to win. But I think the Jags just have that motivation of we barely got in, but we're red hot. Everyone's feeling good about their team. Jones is playing really well with Lawrence. They have a decent running back. Their defense is actually low key good. I mean, if you watch the Titans game, they really did a great job at limiting Derrick Henry to big runs. I don't even know if he really had a run over 20 yards, but he carried the ball a lot. So I think he got to 100 yards rushing, but he had like almost 30 carries in a game, which is wildly, that's unheard of in today's game. A lot more throwing and Patrick Mahomes kind of offense, less running the ball and doing all that. But Jags over Chargers. Bills Dolphins, I'm not really going to talk a lot about the Bills Dolphins. I mean, if Tua was playing, and I wouldn't recommend Tua playing, especially with his concussions this season, I think he should be done for quite a little bit. And with Bridgewater being out and the third string being in, he hasn't shown me anything of significance. They played the Jets and barely beat the Joe Flacco Jets to get into the playoffs. Honestly, I think I'd rather the Steelers be in this position. I think it would have been a much better game between the Bills and the Steelers. But the Dolphins did squeak it out against the Jets. And so now we have Bills, Jets. Maybe or not Bills, Jets, Bills, Dolphins. But if the Dolphins come out and play, I think they can keep a game for maybe the first half. I really am not giving the Dolphins any chance. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me. But Bills by a billion. And yes, I believe Tua should be done with football. I mean, especially after that Bengals game where he laid there and his hands were all like messed up and it just does not look good. And every hit he takes to the ground, he's just slamming his head. I know he's probably not going to be done with football, but in reality, I think he should be just to keep his future safe at this point. I know he loves football, but there's a point in time where you have to sit down and be like, this it's bigger than the game. I can't keep doing this for my own health. And I don't think anyone would blame him if he stepped away from football. I think he could probably go into coaching. I think what McDaniels does is really treats players like family, and I think Tua feels comfortable enough to be able to just do what he wants to do and be able to communicate with a coach that's not going to like always yell at him and take responsibility. So I think Tua has a future in football. I don't think it's going to be his quarterback just because of the head injuries, but I agree.